Welcome to the fight game. It's Icewater and Puma, and there's a big card coming up with heavyweights and light heavyweights, and we're going to talk about that in this episode. You have Joshua versus Wilder. You have Wilder versus Parker. You have Bivol, light heavyweight, WBA championship against London Arthur. You have just many guys on this card, and this is the first time I've seen this many heavyweights fight on one. Now, I don't think I've ever seen this. I can't remember seeing this ever. But it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be the Christmas Eve before Christmas Eve for me, sitting there with my eggnog and whatever little liquor I want in my eggnog watching these fights. Hopefully the knockouts are plentiful in this particular card, Ice.
Yeah. I mean, it's long overdue. I will say Eddie Hearn is really getting a little bit creative, right? Kind of doing some things that are a little different. You know where the dollars are to be going overseas, and they're going to pay overseas. Some people are complaining about not having the fights in America. Truthfully, I really don't care about that. I just want to see the fights. So this card is going to be dynamite. Deontay Wilder has been waiting to kind of get his just due, coming back, fighting Joseph Parker, who's not a bad fighter, but I always find it ironic that these people and so many people that talk about Deontay Wilder's not this, he's not that, but if as long as it's nobody, anyone besides Tyson Fury, he usually has a pretty good outing, and I think that says a lot about Deontay Wilder. So we'll see what happens there. So against Parker, Parker's tough though, but is he going to come in shape and is he going to be ready to really deal with Deontay Wilder?
Right. Now, going past this and what people are saying, and we said it last week, the fight we wanted to see is Joshua versus Wilder. And that seems to be kind of shaping up. But I don't know if Joshua really wants to fight Wilder. And I see and I suspect or I assume that there is a little fine print in the contract. If you beat Wilder, then this fight is going to be set for this particular date. So I'm thinking, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm thinking that Joshua is not going to get past this guy. He doesn't have a title to lose. So he's not going to get past this and he's going to jeopardize. One of these fights are not going to go well for the other fight. I can't see Wilder not winning against Parker, but I can see Joshua not winning against Wilder just to get out of the fight and say, okay, Wilder has to step in and fight this guy before that fight happens. Your thoughts?
Wow, that's a hell of a theory, but it's not. It may not be so far fetched as some people may think, because we've been waiting on Anthony Joshua to kind of regain his old form, right? It really hasn't really happened that way. Some people say it's mental. His fights versus Usyk, those fights were you're thinking if he had just a puncher's chance, he came in stronger, he could get chased down Usyk. But Usyk used his mobility, his punching power a little bit, and just to stay away to keep Joshua at bay. And I think some people think the same thing is going to happen when he fights Tyson Fury. But the point here is Joshua, we're still waiting for the old Anthony Joshua to show up, right? And I'm not sure if that's possible if we're ever going to see him again. Everybody's capable of one return great fight, and maybe he's hoping he can get that against Wilder if he wins this fight. But it's just something about it. It's almost as if, from a mental standpoint, Anthony Joshua may not take Wilder, his opponent, serious, and that's when he gets in trouble. Maybe he doesn't. He's just doing it because the money's right, or he can get in the ring and turn it on, or think he can. But we know he's. I think the biggest problem people have with Anthony Joshua is, and why they criticize him so much, is we've seen his talent in the past. We've seen him be great, and people are coming back to expect the same thing. And maybe it's a mentality. But on the other hand, let's see what happens, because he did switch trainers. He's in the new gym, and they've been working with him as far as Derek James is concerned. So we'll see how that works out. Different different message, different situation may provide different results.
Yeah, because Joshua's been called out by a lot of some of the fighters here in on this card is saying you don't want to fight anybody. You're afraid to fight anybody. So I'm thinking that too. Now, if they're thinking it, I'm been thinking it for a while because he's been, not Fury. He's not fighting Fury. He's not fighting Wilder. These are the top two guys that people have been saying, "Hey, we want to see this fight." He's not making it happen. After he got beat by Ruiz, he hasn't been the same fighter. I don't think he can get back to that form, and that's why I'm not putting it past Wilder not beating him and him sabotaging that fight because you get the sense that Anthony Joshua don't want to get knocked out like he did, like Deontay Wilder is susceptible to do. I mean, with that punch out, that knockout power, he don't want to be lying in the ring like when he did with Ruiz. He doesn't want that, and I would think that Deontay Wilder is stronger than Ruiz and can hit harder and can put more punishment on him. And I've seen Anthony Joshua in the last few fights. I don't think he wants that. He's not about that anymore. He's not about going out there and really putting on a display. Even with Usyk, he couldn't fight a southpaw. It was obvious. 2 fights he couldn't fight a southpaw. So how are you gonna go in there with some of the top heavyweights now that know your weaknesses, know that the fire's not there? It's almost like the fire is not in the belly anymore. And how do you turn that on now after just being on this card? So I wouldn't put it past him just losing or a close decision or a split decision and messing up the opportunity of the fight like last week. Go check out our show last week. We told you the fight you want to see. Wilder and Joshua, we got to see in 2024, not 2025, not 2026. It got to happen right now. And I think that this guy will use this excuse to get away. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I never want to question a man's heart. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't think he wants any smoke from Deontay Wilder, despite fighters calling him out in press conferences for these bouts, saying you don't want it with me and you don't want it with Wilder. At least fight him if you ain't gonna fight me. And I'm like, dang, you gonna just put the man out like that? And he's the headliner.
Eddie Hearn's a slick dude though. Eddie Hearn knows how to. He's coming like the foreign boxing correspondent, right? Where he's kind of sliding in as a pseudo third tier promoter, right? You got Bob Arum, and you used to have Don King, but you had all these other guys that a lot of guys are doing their own promotions. But now he's slowly but surely moving stuff overseas, right? Getting that money right overseas and making the connection. And nobody's really paying attention to Eddie Hearn because you got the zone. Nobody's like really going, oh yeah. But secretly behind the scenes, Eddie Hearn is like, I think I can do that. And I think he said to the point where he's involved with Devin Haney, and they keep saying that they offered Tank Davis 20 million, and he turned it down. But we don't know. We don't know. It's very interesting how this all comes together. And you mentioned another fight that may be coming up, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm a little tired of Devin Haney going behind the scenes and fighting these dudes he know he can beat. Let's go. You know what we want. You know what we want,
Yeah.
Daddy Bill.
Yeah. And
you
there
know
were
what we
reports
want,
that
but go ahead. I know
Haney,
you got
like I
something
said
to say.
last week, there were reports that Haney, after Haney won, I kind of had the secret suspicion that he's going to fight Ryan Garcia. And there are talks that they've been in discussion to get this fight going. It made sense to me money wise, not competition wise, but money wise, whether it's Cinco de Mayo or whether it's Mexican Independence Day in September. These guys are going to get it on because the money is there, especially when you have a Mexican contingency that loves to watch fights during that weekend. It just makes sense to me. And like I said, I want to see Tank Davis fight Haney. I want to see Haney fight the tougher guys. But I can see in boxing, it's not about who's the best anymore. It's about how much money we can make at the gate and pay per view.
I'll get that. But before they start making plans for May, you might want to check Canelo.
Yeah. So that's why I said May or September.
I can see September, but see, those are dates that, I mean, and Canelo's, I think, greedy's like that. You know what? once Mayweather got off of it that day, he was like, "Oh, it's mine now. I'm taking it over. Mine, 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 mine." You know, he's taking it over. But no, I think it would be great because but I have to say, I'm not. I'm with you on far as it could make a lot of money. Ryan Garcia versus Haney, but I've seen a number of other boxers and promoters get prepared to try to fight on that date. Right when you get comfortable, like 2 months out, whoop, oh, we got to change our date because here comes Canelo. Yeah, I'm sure they are looking ahead. I don't know who's going to fight, but I don't know. And I tell you what I like to see is he won't do it. Canelo versus Benavidez on Cinco de Mayo. Won't happen though.
All right. Don't know if you got a chance to watch the UFC 296 with Edwards and Covington. Edwards, unanimous decision. A lot of people kind of criticizing trying to go to the ground game and try to fight the same fight of Covington, but Covington had nothing. He's 0-3 in his last championship bouts, and it it just seems that he's friends with Dana White. He's a Trump supporter. They're trying to get Trump supporters that will support these fights and these events. And he sounds just like a Trump supporter at the end. He wasn't talking about the fight. He said he thought he won. I don't know what fight he was in or what he saw. That wasn't the case. But Edwards was really emotional after the fight and before this fight because of what Covington said about his father being murdered, and but showed a lot of he was very composed in the fight. He didn't just go out there and you talking about my father. No, he didn't do that at all. Very composed. Worked on the leg. Worked on boxing. Stand. He could have just beat him standing up because Covington did not want to come in. Covington is very slow. I was talking to a buddy of mine during the fight. It was like this guy can't catch him. He's too slow. But in the ground game, I guess he was trying to prove his point there, and he might have lost some points and made this fight a little bit closer than it was supposed to be. Your point on it, if you've seen this fight.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned about Covington, he's like that's what it is. I mean, there's some guys hang around because he's been a journeyman. He's been around for a while, and he's good entertainment for a up and coming fighter or a guy that's even established because he's a draw, right? But at the same time, um, people kind of know. They kind of see where he's at. He's not the guy he was before, and just I mean the way and as you mentioned, it's low hanging fruit. So let's say, for instance, they want to connect with the average guy, the common guy, and they spend that money on UFC. That's perfect for them. Oh, he's out there still again. You know what he represents? That's my brother. They're gonna spend that $47.95, whatever the hell it is that they spend it, and they're gonna come up. So then Dana White is seeing it for what it is. He's gonna really start making more money off and getting more money off people that possibly normally would not watch. But you bring in a guy like that, it's like, oh hell, we gotta see our guy. Gotta see Colton Covington, gotta see Covington. Kobe Covington just because he's our guy. And that's more eyeballs and more money on the table, more pay-per-view buys.
Yeah, and Patty won his fight against Tony Ferguson. I'm thinking I was waiting for Tony Ferguson to put the gloves in the ring after that fight, and it was a unanimous decision. To me, it wasn't really even close. But my boys told me, and I didn't get to see this fight, but I'm going to see this fight on YouTube or something like that. Aldana versus Carol Rosa, where they're saying was the fight of the year. And so it was a lot of blood. I saw the first 2 rounds, got in the car to get over to the place I was going to watch the rest of the fight, and it was over. And they were like, dude, you just missed the fight of the year. And I'm like, oh, I caught the first 2 rounds. But the UFC wrapped up a pretty good season with this particular outing. I just wish that 45 wasn't there, and I'm trying to boost up 45 because that doesn't really kind of engage me at all. He knows nothing about fighting. He's weak and he's a punk and he's a coward. So why have him at the ring sitting there fighting like he's some big boss or something? And he won't get elected in Colorado. Your thoughts on the rest of the fights if you see them? That's my political commentary.
I see. Hey, go.
No,
I'm gonna say is that's how things roll out, man. USC is trying to still bring in particularly when you don't have like marquee fights. I mean, you got to think some of your top talent is done for the year or they're hurt, right? I mean, they've been trying to replace that fight before with John Jones, so they've been just kind of picking and choosing. But you also mentioned too that the women's fight that you kind of missed was fight of the year. Hell, lately the women have been a couple
That's
times
right.
fight of the year.
Yeah.
They've been very competitive and whatnot, so we've been seeing that. But we're winding down. We have a new year coming up, so we'll see how that plays out. But overall, particularly UFC, Dana White is probably really frustrated that they have another big card coming up soon. But believe you me, once everybody starts to mend and get some things together, they'll be back out there. There's too much money involved.
Yeah, there was a fight outside the octagon with two fighters who are going to be fighting, and I'm trying to get the date in January. Uh, Sean Strickland. I don't know why they seated Sean Strickland and I'm trying to get his name right, Dakaris Duplessis. Um, just arm distance away from each other. Sean Strickland moved the little kid, said, "Hey, move to the side," jumped on his opponent and his upcoming opponent, and they just started fighting in the ring. I guess Sean Strickland had to be escorted out of the arena after the fight. But I'm like, this is becoming WWE right now because
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that, hey, if you really like this, folks, wait until you see these two. They can't wait to go at it. And so
Yeah.
that's the way I kind of looked at it. It kind of looked like he was doing the WWE over his head and all that stuff. They're marketing it to the sports entertainment kind of audience, and you can see it. After the fight, they were interviewing different people, and all they were missing was Dusty Rhodes' hair and his fur. That's all they were missing. And so to try to pump up the next fights that are coming up in the next season, yeah, and Ric Flair and the Woo and all that other stuff. That's what I was looking for. So they're marketing it well, and maybe those folks who like the WWE, yeah, I'll get up there and act like I want to fight. I'll create a character just to be there. They were missing Mean Gene, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Macho Man Randy Savage, and all.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it's turning into. So if that's what they want to do, it's cool. I can deal with it. But your thoughts on it? Because when I saw it, I'm like, this is WWE. I recognize this. I was in I was in the heyday of it. I know what I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me
But
tell you something, Tony Giovanni.
yeah. It is I mean, it's different, man. The problem with this now is with the entertainment process coming on like that, and you get guys like Jake Paul, it's kind of hard not to say what's real, what's Memorex, that type of thing. Back in the day, what's real and what's fake. So the more theatrics that we see, the more that we kind of go. Those that know from back in the day with the old wrestling, my granddaddy called it wrestling, not wrestling. Wrestling is what you do on the mat and you get the count with the man giving you points for making position moves. This is wrestling, where they kind of go in there with all of the hype and everything. And I'm not surprised by the fact that UFC is trying to follow it up too, because you got to build the gimmick up, right?
Yeah, the
And
villain versus
granted,
the good
sometimes
guy.
you have really good fights, and
Yeah,
people come in, they just tough, they want to fight. But now, when you don't have these marquee names, you got to add a little sauce to it. So you want people to turn it on and watch, because it's not like it's on the regular networks. People got to spend that coin,
yeah.
and you can't keep putting out journeymen out here thinking somebody gonna buy the fight. So unless you make it $12, something like that, and they're not gonna do that. So you gotta hype it up. So I can see your point on that.
Me and Gene.
Let me tell you something, Tony Schiavone. This is Ernie the Cat Lad.
And we recognize it, but it's like the younger generation doesn't see it, because that's what they grew up on, kind of the show. And it was always a show where you split your forehead and you bleeding, and
Oh yeah, they was all in. Like my man said, you shut your mouth when you see a grown man talking.
And you used to get the magazines. And I used to get the magazines and all the blood coming down. Like, ooh, man, that was a rough fight.
Hey, you say what you want to. There must have been whoever was doing the little razors. They had to be making a lot of money because when you see in wrestling, you saw Dusty Rhodes, the foreheads, and Ric
Yeah.
Flair's, and how beat up their foreheads were. And one of my favorites, who always bled all the time, was and one of the first ones to do it was the Sheik.
Yeah.
You know, the original Sheik. You know, and a lot of people thought he was from overseas or something. The Sheik, the original Sheik, y'all look this up, was from Detroit.
Yeah.
That's what made it beautiful, baby. That and that fire. Oh my God. That
His
was
name was what was the guy named Abdullah?
the butcher.
The Butcher, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Abdullah the Butcher, one of our program favorites, Haystacks Calhoun.
Calhoun.
Haystacks Calhoun, Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was a man by the name of Pamphero Furpo. He had a bunch of wild hair, and he had that, you know, put that, they call it, what most people call it the claw. They call it the El Garfio. Dude, man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Rocky Johnson, Flying Fred Curry. Man, beautiful boxing. The Kangaroos, bruh. Boston Bull, the British Bulldogs.
Yeah, the British
Our
Bulldogs.
Foundation.
The Road Warriors. I love
Oh man, that was my squad, right? The Road Warriors. Talking Animal. Man, that was that wrestling, man, back in the day, bro. Was
you know what?
got Mr. Wonderful.
I'm gonna try to check out some of the current guys and just see, you know.
Nah, not the same, bro.
They're not the same.
You can't. You certain things like Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Yeah.
Mr. Wrestling 1, Mr. Wrestling 2. Nah, bro. Coco Beware.
Okay.
You know, man, dude, are you kidding me?
Tony Atlas, the
Tony Atlas,
Dog,
Jimmy Superfly Snooker.
Oh my goodness.
Wildfire Tommy Rich. Come on, man.
Oh man. And
we got to do a wrestling show, our favorite wrestler.
Yeah, definitely. And we gotta get Black on it too, because Black was the one that got me into wrestling. When he's like, come on, man, let's watch this. And we would just wrestle. And his nickname, his CB name, his nickname was Haystacks Calhoun, because he always wore the overall. Always been a big fella. But
hey, I remember I told you my granddad, man, we used to watch wrestling, and my granddad didn't have any, he had dentures, but he would take them out. And he would always have his mouth, he would never put his teeth in all the time. But the screen would, you know, he was watching TV, and he'd get in front of the TV, and he doesn't have his teeth, and he'd go. That was his move. Like,
before this show goes totally off the rails,
hey man,
any more boxing stories that you came up with?
Like I said, we're gonna have some more stuff coming up. But I had to tell y'all, man, my grandfather took me to watch wrestling when I was 4 years old, bro.
4, wow.
I saw and I'm showing my age, I don't care. One of the first live wrestling matches I saw was with Bobo Brazil. Mm-hmm. That let me know that a man of color could fight in the ring. I stayed with him forever, and he was really like a hero to me. But to say that they had that most knowledge or understanding to accept diversity in their sport that early said a lot. I was 4 years old when I got to see Bobo Brazil live in person. Changed my life. I was down with wrestling, even when I knew it was fake. Still roll with it till it got stupid.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it just a show on just wrestling, the old school, so folks know where we're coming from when we see this stuff. We will recap the fights, the heavyweight card coming up this week. I can't wait. Hopefully it won't disappoint. I'm looking for a lot of knockouts. Icewater will be at the TV like his grandfather. Maybe we'll do that at the beginning of the year. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, and this is the Fight Game.